Time. I'm Keith Moore. Today my guests are swimmers Lori Gazdowski and Gail Kuhneman. Thanks for being here. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Great. Okay, the women's swim team has lost a good amount of swimmers this year. I think 7 girls have left, flown the coop.
Right.
What is this going to do to the team this year?
Well, since we've lost the swimmers, we don't have as many, but we did get a lot of freshmen in. Good freshmen who've come from good high school backgrounds, and we're sticking together despite the loss, and we're doing pretty good. Our record is now 3-2, so far we're doing good.
Were these new freshmen, were they scouted by the coach, or were they just walk-ons to the team?
What do you think?
I think they're mostly scouted,
Mostly. Couple walk-ons.
And do they look like promising prospects? Do they look like they're going to be good swimmers?
Yeah, the swimmers that we do have are, all of them, not just the freshmen, look good.
In freshman year, I, from personal experience, have improved so much my freshman year, so they're bound to improve.
You can tell you're a 3-time All-American. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You have 3 events that you're All-American?
I made it. I got All-American in the 100 butterfly freshman year, and then my sophomore year, 100 butterfly and the 200 fly. And I was very happy about that. It worked really hard to make that.
I know it's hard enough just to get it in 1, and you got it in 3.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
There's one thing that I thought was interesting. The men's and women's teams, swim teams, don't always travel together. What is the deal with that? I thought the men's team went with the women's team, and they just competed separately.
Some of the teams that we swim against don't have both a men and women's team, but the ones that do, we travel together.
And the women swim against women, obviously. And the
Right,
men swim against men.
right.
Yes.
Laura, you hold a bunch of records here at William Paterson for the swim team. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them?
It's 4 records.
4 records?
I hold a record in the 400 medley relay, and that consists of 100 yards of backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly, and free. And there's 4 people that swim on that. I have the record in the 100 fly, the 50 fly, and the 200 fly. That's my best event.
The day you got these records, did you know that you got them, or did you find out later?
I was trying to break
you were
the
trying
records.
to break the records, so
Yes.
when you touched the wall, you just...
Yeah, I looked and I was happy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Why don't you take us through, both of you, a typical meet against, say, rowing, a good rivalry in the NJC, obviously, with every sport.
Well, we start off with the medley relay, which she usually swims. And then right after that's 1,000 free, which I usually swim. It's 40 laps of freestyle. I'm a distance swimmer.
Wow.
And then 200 free.
Yeah, then 50 free. It's pretty much split up, like there's distance, middle distance, and sprint events in the meet. And there's 13 events in the whole entire meet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we break for diving as well in the meet. Yeah.
So you
There's
travel
2
with
breaks.
the divers too?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have 4 divers this year. 3 guys and one girl.
And 1 girl?
Yeah.
Well, to prepare for 13 events, obviously you don't swim every single event.
No.
How many events do you swim?
We're allowed 3 events
3
in a
events?
meet.
Yeah.
And you both swim 3 each?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
Yeah.
even with 40 laps, you're going to swim 3 events?
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's really good at the distance events.
So the practices for these meets must be rigorous.
They are.
Very. We start out in the beginning of the season with about 2,000 to 3,000 yards, and by the end of the season we're doing 7,000 to 8,000 yards.
And in laps, how many laps would that be?
Well, let's see. That's 40.
Around.
40 in 1,000, so 40 times 8. What's that?
Wow.
Yeah.
200. Yeah,
That's too many.
320 laps.
The swim team seems to be very close-knit, a very close-knit group. Every year the team goes away for winter training.
Right.
For the past couple of years, you've gone to Trinidad, Puerto Rico, and what's this year?
This year we're going to Florida. We're going to West Palm Beach. And we leave like a day or 2 after Christmas. We're there for about 13 days, and we spend New Year's together.
It's a lot of work, and we train for like almost 5 hours a day. It's a lot of work, and you're pretty much tired and done after that. But we still find time to go out and have fun. But,
So it's not a vacation. You're going down there to train.
It's not a vacation, but we try.
It's mostly training. But it's
Okay.
really beneficial for the Metropolitan Championship.
And on these trips, I was told that there's a New Year's trip every year.
We're there, yeah.
Is that
We're there during New Year's, and the whole team, hangs out together.
Yeah, we try to
and have
go
a good
somewhere
time.
together.
parties on New Year's Eve?
Oh yeah.
Okay. The Metropolitan Conference Championship, that's held every year. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Just
Okay,
educate our viewers.
This meet is a 3-day meet. The girls, it's usually held at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, and the guys, it's at Trenton. And there's trials and finals in the morning. You compete in the top, what is it, 16?
Top 12.
The top 12 qualify for the night meet. And then you compete again, and that's when you get your medals.
And this is done over 3 days?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a 3-day meet. It's a very long meet. It's a very rigorous meet, but you've trained all season for that, and that's the big meet,
I can imagine.
That's what you try to do.
Last
well.
year, the team was 4th out of 13. That was
Yeah.
the women's team?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the women's team.
Great.
We're very happy with that.
And what do we have to look forward to this year, as far as the women's team goes?
Well, our next home meet, I believe, is December 11th. It's against Rutgers, and that should be a pretty good meet. It looks like we're going to win.
Yeah?
And we have a few away meets before then. And we have Trenton after Christmas break. That's our big meet after Christmas. And then we go away for the Metropolitan meet.
And where's the Metropolitan meet this year?
That's going to be at U.S. Merchant Marine Academy.
Okay.
That's the 3-day meet.
Yeah.
In the NJAC, in the New Jersey Athletic Conference, who would you say is your biggest rivalry out of all the teams?
Rowing.
Definitely
Definitely
rowing.
rowing.
Why is that?
Because, I don't know, we've always competed against them, and last year we lost by 1 point. The girls have always been close. It's always been a close race for the girls. And then this year, since we lost the people, it wasn't that close, but
Okay.
it's always fun.
Well, thank you very much for being here. That's
Thank
all the
you.
time we have. And let's get some people out to them swim meets. And we'll be back with more Sports Overtime right after this with Maria DiDio and Campus Update. So don't go anywhere.
We're back at Sports Overtime. A lot of things going on at Pioneer Campus Sports this week, and Maria is here to tell us all about them.
Thank you, Kevin. The WPC Pioneer football team at Giants Stadium? Well, just to practice. That practice on the turf field must have worked. The Pioneers came out Saturday on Union College's turf in New York and took over as they whipped Union 17-7. This win puts them in the history books again with their first win in the NCAA playoffs. If you didn't get to the game, you're probably wondering, how did they do it? Craig Paskus, WPC's star defensive back, summed it up. We played with confidence and poise. He sure did, with 13 tackles and a key interception that set up the Pioneers' final touchdown. Both teams started off slow offensively. WPC did not make one first down the entire first period. Defensively, Pioneer defensive lineman Corey Bond sacked Union quarterback Scott Newton, forcing a fumble. Linebacker Tim Plotz had an interception at midfield. At the end of one, it was 0-0. WPC jump-started the second quarter as quarterback Rich Smith flipped a screen pass to, who else? Al White, who raced 31 yards against a blitz to the Union 22. Then Smith found Kevin Harmon for the touchdown. WPC smothered Union College's offense every chance they got. Linebacker Garvin Hayden forced a fumble, which led to a WPC field goal. The Pioneers kept coming up with the big plays. Garvin Hayden and Horace Perkins both blocked 2 field goal attempts that could have put Union back into the game. The Pioneers' last touchdown came in the fourth quarter. Rich Smith found Ferguson with a 14-yard pass. WPC's defense only let up 1 touchdown late in the fourth quarter. All in all, an outstanding effort by the Pioneers, who proved a lot of speculators wrong. WPC is NCAA playoff material. The Pioneers host Rowan Saturday, November 27th at 12:30 in second-round play. Come out and show your support. Good luck to those Pioneers. Now let's take a splash into the pool. The Pioneer swim team competed against Queens College on Friday, November 19th. Although the meet was close, the Lady Pioneers defeated Queens. Alicia Hugues won the 1,000-yard freestyle and the 200-yard backstroke. Lori Gazdowski won the 200-yard freestyle and 200-yard breaststroke. Freshman Julia Moore won the 200-yard individual medley. Jerry Kerrigan won the diving competition for the women. The Lady Pioneers are currently 3-2 and haven't competed in any conference meets. The women are competing at Kane College on December 1st, and on December 4th they are home where they swim against Stony Brook. In men's swimming, Doug Miller won the 1,000-yard freestyle, 500-yard freestyle, and the 200-yard individual medley. Mark Curry won the 200-yard butterfly, and Russ Banak won the 50-yard freestyle. Jamie Charles won the diving competition for the men. The meet was very close, but the Pioneers lost to Queens in the last event. The men are currently 3-2 and 2-1 in the conference. Their next meet will be away at City College of New York on Thursday, December 2nd. Now on to ice hockey. The Pioneers ice hockey team had a rough week, being checked from one loss to another. Their problems began last Wednesday, November 16th, when they skated against Stevens Tech. Coach Bruce Baker was looking for the team's first win of the '93 season. John Ferenge tried to make the coach's dreams come true by putting the Pioneers on the board with this wrist shot. Captain Marty Brenner also helped the Pioneers' offense. Here he rushes the puck up ice, showing some nice moves, but the play is whistled offsides. Goalie Keith Koselman had another good game between the pipes, but the Pioneers still lost 7-5. They were hoping to change their luck as they took to the road to face off against Pace University in Muncie, New York. The game took place on Saturday, November 20th. Pace took an early lead and managed to survive a strong Pioneer comeback. William Paterson gave Pace 9 power play advantages. Pace cashed in on 4 of those power plays en route to a 6-2 victory. On Monday, November 22nd, William Paterson was shut out 9-0 as they faced off against Kane College. The Pioneers played a strong first period, but 20 minutes of good hockey just isn't enough. Their record now stands at 0-5. Hopefully, the Pioneers will be ready for their game on Sunday, the 28th, when they play NJIT. Let's go to the hoops now. The women's basketball season got off to a winning start. They came home with the championship from the Susquehanna Women's Basketball Tournament in Pennsylvania. Maureen Morris scored 45 points in the 2-day tournament and won the Most Valuable Player award. The Lady Pioneers opened the tournament on Saturday with a 64-54 victory over Dickinson College. Morris went 7 for 10 from the floor and added 6 assists for 20 points. Junior transfer Lakeisha Williams popped in 13 points along with 8 rebounds. Sunday, they clinched the championships by defeating Susquehanna 63-58. Morris topped out with 25 points, going 9 for 13 from the floor and 6 of 7 from the line. Kira Haynes had 9 rebounds and 8 steals. The ladies' record stands at 2-0. Saturday, November 27th, the ladies are at Rutgers, Camden with a 6 p.m. start. On Tuesday, November 30th, they meet Montclair again at 6 p.m. As for the men's basketball team, their weekend wasn't so pleasant. They came back from their Mount Union tournament with a record of 0-2. Friday, they took a close loss from the University of Chicago, 72-78. Charlie Pino tossed in 14 points, going 5 for 13 from the floor and 4 for 4 from the line. Saturday, they fell to Adrian College, 65-91. With 2 tough losses behind them, they look ahead. On Saturday, November 27th, they meet Rutgers-Camden at 4 p.m., and Tuesday, November 30th, they will be at Montclair with an 8 p.m. start. And that's all for Campus Sports. Kevin, now back to you.
Thanks, Maria. Many good and many bad things here from Campus Sports, and hopefully we'll get good things over the weekend with basketball and football, big games coming up. So stick around because we have our roundtable segment coming up. It's going to be a good one as usual. Stay tuned here at Sports Overtime. Welcome back, and it's roundtable time. We have our roundtablers, Eric Wishnow, Paul Dorfman, Joe Ragazzino. Picking up a copy of this week's Beacon, it's the William Paterson College newspaper. We see Pioneers on to round 2. Big headline. They had a tremendous upset in the NJAC playoffs. I'm sorry, it's the NCAA playoffs. And they're on their way to the quarterfinals against Rowan. Just a big win for the William Paterson football team. And Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about that game? They won 17-7, one of the biggest wins in school history.
The Pioneers went up to Union College in New York in front of 10,000 people and surprised everyone but themselves by defeating a very, very competitive Union College team, 17-7. They just absolutely shut them down. The Union offense averages over 30 points a game, and the Pioneer defense just totally dominated them. William Paterson played the greatest game ever. Absolutely dominating.
I didn't see the game, but I did listen to it on the radio, and my turning point of the game has to be Craig Paskus' interception. It was the second half, fourth quarter. I think it was in between fourth quarter and third quarter. It was somewhere around there, and the Union was driving. It was 17-7, and they were driving. And Paskus came up with a huge pick to move William Paterson into scoring position, and just a tremendous pickoff that I think totally changed the momentum in the game. So this week is the biggest game in William Paterson history. Rowan again, Eric, we got killed by him the first time. What do you think?
I think this time it will be different. William Paterson is coming in playing their best ball ever. Even though Rowan is playing just as good as William Paterson, I think this time the Pioneers are going to do it. They're going to go to Florida.
Paul, I think we got to eliminate some mistakes. You know?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
You got it. I go back to the argument we had. Not really an argument. We all pretty much agreed that Rowan beat the crap out of us. But as it turns out, you got the way that Rowan knows the wing tee. You got the graduates of the University of Delaware where the wing tee was invented, and they're going to be defending the William Paterson wing tee. They know what they're doing, and they're going to beat them again.
I don't know about this Delaware stuff, Paul, but Joe, my feeling is this. Against a top-notch team such as Rowan, you can't make the stupid little mistakes that the William Paterson football team did in that game. You can't get the punch block. You can't fumble. Anything like that is going to cost you.
You hit it right there. It was the special teams that hurt the Pioneers. They gave up 4 special teams touchdowns, and that's what hurt the Pioneers. I think that they're going to go into this game realizing that, hey, the special teams is important, and they have to establish that they're going to play well in the special teams, and because they did it well last week against Union, blocking 2 field goals, which caused problems for Union, and I think that that's going to continue into the Rowan game.
Quarterback Rich Smith said that he wants to wear the white away jerseys here at home because they've been good luck for the team, and I want to wish the team good luck this Saturday against Rowan. Let's hope they could come up with a W. Moving on to other things, and in college sports, this time Division I, we have a good argument for you, but probably all different aspects. We're going to talk about the polls. Many think Florida State's number 1, many think Nebraska. We have all different opinions. Eric, what do you feel about the poll situation, the whole bowl coalition?
Right now, you got Nebraska number 1, you got Florida State number 2, Notre Dame number 3, followed up by West Virginia, I believe, at 4. All 4 teams are pretty good, but Florida State is obviously the most dominant team. 2 weeks ago, they went up to Notre Dame. They lost in Notre Dame, one of the toughest places to play in all of the country. And I just believe once it comes down to January 1st, New Year's Day, Florida State will be right at number 2. And if they're playing Notre Dame or if they play Nebraska, wherever they play, they will be whoever they play.
Well, Florida State dominating, maybe, but they did lose a game. And when there are undefeated teams in the country, such as Nebraska, who played a pretty tough schedule, they got UCLA, they played UCLA, they played Colorado. Colorado was a preseason top 10 team. They've also played a Big 8 schedule, which is pretty tough. The Big 8 is not as strong as it used to be, but it's still pretty tough, especially with the rivalries in there. And West Virginia played a very strong schedule too. They have Boston College yet to come, and they played Miami also, and they beat Miami handily. So you got 2 undefeated teams there.
Granted, it was 4 points. It wasn't too handily over Miami, and it was at West Virginia. They did beat them. Miami isn't the same team as they always were, though. Joe, what do you think?
I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't think Miami is the best team this year. West Virginia did play Miami, yet Miami, they played a lackluster game against Rutgers.
Right.
So that was kind of a downer for Miami going into West Virginia. I don't believe that West Virginia has been tested this year. And they're going to be tested when they play Boston College, and I believe that Boston College will go out on top.
I like that. Let me ask you this. If we're all talking about Florida State's loss to Notre Dame, what about Notre Dame's loss to Boston College? Where do you rank Boston College now that they had the huge upset in South Bend, Indiana, beating Notre Dame? I mean, how would you rank that if you're saying about moving Florida State down the polls? You'd have to move Boston College up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Boston College went into Notre Dame, just beat them, simply beat them. And I think Boston College is probably one of the top 5 teams in the nation. However, I think when they go into West Virginia this Thanksgiving, they're going to probably lose.
Boston College did lose to Northwestern. We have to remember that. This is a team that's won maybe 5 games in the last 12 years, and they're just a terrible team.
One other point I think you got to mention is that Notre Dame was coming off their big victory off of Florida State.
I'm sorry, but who did you say was a terrible team, Boston College or Northwestern? Oh, okay. My point before, I thought that was one of the best college games I've ever seen. Boston College, to have heart after Notre Dame came back from 21 down and take the lead with a minute left, to have heart enough to go down the field and kick the game-winning field goal was totally tremendous.
Big penalty there at the end, too. Big personal foul penalty, which was kind of a questionable call if you saw it.
Joe, let me ask you a question before we continue. We've been talking about a lot of different teams. What is your feeling about the whole Nebraska deal being on top, being number 1?
I have to disagree with that. Nebraska being number 1. You have to refer to Kansas. Now, why you have to refer to Kansas? Because Florida State did play Kansas. They played them at the Meadowlands in the kickoff classic, and they destroyed Kansas.
That is true.
Nebraska went down to Lawrence, Kansas to play Kansas, and they were 1 play away from losing. Kansas opted for the 2-point conversion, and they failed the 2-point conversion. Had they made it, they would have beat Nebraska. So you have to refer to the Kansas situation, where Florida State and Nebraska played Kansas. Florida State dominated, Nebraska struggled. So you have to look at that and say that Nebraska isn't as strong as Florida State.
I'd like to agree with you there, Joe. I think if you look back the past 5 or 6 years, Nebraska's always been dominant in the Big 8, and they always go to a bowl game, either the Orange Bowl or some major bowl like that, and they get blown out by 15, 20, 25 points. And I just think this will be another year when Nebraska wins the Big 8, goes to the Orange Bowl, and says goodbye once the game starts.
Listen, it's simple. College needs a playoff, okay? We all know that. We all know
it's not going to happen.
We've gone over that a million times.
No, it's not going to happen because they're competing with the NFL playoffs in January, and they're going to argue that the season's too long and we're not going to compete with the NFL playoffs in January. So you're not going to see
be tough.
A playoff in
whatever
NCAA
happens,
Division I.
It's true, but whatever happens, there's going to be a lot of controversy. I personally like Florida State. We can only wait and see. We'll come back to you with those results after. For now, though, we want to thank all you roundtablers, Eric, Paul, and Joe, for being here with our discussion. A good discussion. We'll come back to you after New Year's to see who actually is number 1. And thank you for joining us here on Sports Overtime. Next week's an off week for us, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. We want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I'd like to say thanks to Rich. Good work on his debuting directing. Thanks to Keith Moore with his interview with Lori Gazdelski and Gail Kunneman. Thanks to Eric, Paul, and Joe for the roundtable. I'm Kevin Burkhardt signing off for my co-host Maria DiDio. And thanks for watching. We'll see you soon again in Overtime.